Hey, everybody, welcome back for another episode of The Overlay, a poker podcast brought to you by CCG Poker. We have a very special guest today, and no Brandon, which I know everybody out there, including Brandon, was very upset that he wasn't going to be on this show, but he has to work. One of us does. So I am here today, excited to talk to Mr. Matt Savage. Matt, how are you?
I'm good. Happy to be on the show.
Go. Well, thank you. I was very impressed when I reached out. I saw you had followed us on Instagram. I just started the Instagram, and then I was like, oh, maybe I'll send him a message. And you responded right away, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. So,
yeah, that's the good news and the bad news. My wife doesn't love that I answer everything right away, but I tend to do that. I get a little OCD when I see a notification on my phone and have to answer them right away.
I do the same thing. Plus, when you work random hours in the poker industry, because nobody works like 9 to 5, right? Like it's such weird hours, and you're up late at night, and you're up early, and whatever the case may be. At least I know for me as well. So yeah, I'm answering texts at 4:00 in the morning, and people are like, "Wow, you're still awake?" I'm like, "Well, I mean, it's Friday night, and there's an event going on, so yeah, I'm still awake at times." But then other times they'll text me like Monday at 8:30, and I'm like, that's a day off. I'm out for a little while.
Yeah, I wish I could do that. I seem to have a problem doing that myself. But,
See,
yeah,
you got to be able.
I would love to
disconnect every once in a while. Matt, according to your Twitter bio or X, I promised I was going to stop saying X, formerly known as Twitter, but I still continue to do it. At WPT Executive Tour Director, at Poker TDA Founder, Tournament Director, WPT Honors 9-time Poker Hall of Fame nominee, 5-time GPI Award winner, and star of blockbuster Lucky You. Out of all of those things, I knew all of them. I mean, I didn't know a 9-time Poker Hall of Fame nominee. Have you been actually inducted yet? Or have you
No, I have not. No, that's why it's still nominee. I will change that if I ever, in fact, get in. But, with the way the qualifications are, it's pretty tough to do so. They tend to favor players first, which is
the
fine.
Bastards.
But
players. Yeah. What did they ever do for the
game? I love actually the fact that I just keep getting nominated.
It's
actually because, once you're in, people forget about you, once you're in. But once you're not nominated, it comes up every year, right? So, yeah. Stay in the public eye.
Well, kind of maybe once you're retired from the game, maybe that's when they'll let you in, right? Like you're kind of still an active, you're a huge active part of the industry. So maybe that's one of the reasons. But I have to find out. Lucky You, which is probably one of my top 80 poker movies of all time.
Thanks. That's
yeah,
good.
I mean it's. There's probably more than 80 poker movies that have ever been made. Not here to talk Lucky You. I watched it twice. It's a thing.
Watch it again.
How are you on it? Well, now I have to. Damn it! I got to watch Lucky You again. Tell us about that. What happened there?
Yeah, I originally got hired to be a consultant on the movie, and
nice.
They were doing it here in Vegas, and so I was talking to them, and I actually auditioned for a role to be like the satellite director in the movie and didn't get it. So it was kind of frustrating. But then they went to LA and they took the whole set and everything. They did it and they moved it to Hollywood. And when I went out there, they had the audition for the tournament director. And then I went in and auditioned for that and know the role. So I got the job and ended up spending like 6 weeks in Los Angeles filming this movie.
No kidding.
And, actually got a pretty big part in the movie. So because of that, but yeah, it was an interesting time and it was worth it. And, it's something to add to the resume for sure.
No, it's awesome. I honestly can't say I've ever been in any type of movie. So it's pretty solid. I mean, poker nominee, Hall of Fame nominee, and there's a chance you could win an Oscar or a Screen Actors Guild Award.
Yeah, I think I got slighted on that, but yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if they had like a tournament director's main kind of a prize, I'm sure you would be in there. I know everybody wants to know that you are the creator of the TDA, Tournament Directors Association. You are the rules official of Rules Official. You and I were talking briefly before we started the show about like you're like the final boss of poker rules.
Yeah, I mean, I like to be able to be a resource for new players and amateur players, and everybody around the world. But like I always say, if I had taken a small percentage for every rule that I've ever answered and just say, hey, it costs $1 to do that, I'd be a lot better off these days, because I do answer the questions on social media, on X, on Facebook, through message, through text. And I have a lot of professional players call me from their home games and say, hey, we have this $5,000 bet, and you're the final decision on the rule.
Right.
It happens all the time. The people say that we have a $20 bet, or we have Josh Arty would say $5,000 bet, and we'll get they'll get me as the final end all rules decision maker, and whatever I say goes. So that's the good side of it, and the bad side of it is you have to keep answering these questions 24/7 through all of these various ways of doing that.
Well, it's pretty amazing that you take the time, to do shows like this, and then also to answer the amount of questions that you do. I mean, it's awesome. Like you said, it's nice to be known as the final guy, the decision breaker for sure. But that's a lot of work too. So I will say, from the poker industry or the scene in general, thank you for doing, all of that. It's pretty amazing.
I do appreciate it.
I do remember before Matt Savage was a thing. I remember playing home games in like the early 2000s, and there was it was chaos. It was, I'd like to say the Wild West, but that's so on point of like being poker and saying it's the Wild West. But I remember like nobody had the same rules, and it was always a weird thing when something would come up. And before like social media, we would literally call like the Bellagio or the Mirage and try to get somebody on the phone. This is like in the middle of the hand. And I remember doing this, like calling the Bellagio and being like, hey, if the big blind raises, and then you'd immediately get hung up on, and you'd have to call like the Mirage. And finally we got some guy from, I don't even know where, to like give us an answer, and that was it. But it turned into like a treasure hunt, or like a thing to do to try to figure out, what the actual rule was, because, it was all over them. Everybody was playing by a different set of rules, and it is nice to have and I'm a huge fan of the app. The TDA app is pretty awesome as well. It's nice to be able to look things up and go from there, and maybe people should do that prior to emailing or texting you.
Yeah, it's great that we just got the new app up for 2025, even though it's for the 2024 rules. We just got it up recently. But yes, it's definitely free, and it's a great resource for people that are playing events, home games, and things like that, to try and get those rules correct.
Yeah, or even just players. I'm always amazed by, players, and it's hard, right? Because you don't want to say basic rules, but I mean, once you've been in and around the game for a long time, you kind of learn some easy things. And I'm always surprised by players that I see on a regular basis, a couple times a month, and they've been playing for a few years, and they've done well, and they've won tournaments. And then it's like, how did they not know that this was the rule? And they're very upset about it. It's nice to be able to show them, the TDA app, and have it right there and be like, look, this is not me, Ken, making this up. This is the actual set of rules that all of the major tournaments use, and this is perfect,
Yeah, and it's there's so many intricacies to the rules, and people want to see the rules written down for every certain situation. It's impossible. Yeah. It's just like doing for poker hands. There's so many different combinations of poker hands, and there's so many different things that could come up in the rules. And luckily, we've been able to nail down a lot of the things that need to be in writing. But a good tournament director is worth its weight in gold, as when you're running your events, because it's there are those situations that you've never seen before that they keep continuing to come up, and we can't add everything to the rule book, but it's nice to have somebody there that understands that rule number one for the TDA is answer in best fairness and integrity of of the situation. If you have somebody there that's doing that, then it's better for the event and better for poker in general.
Yeah, which is awesome. All right, I ask everybody kind of the same idea of, not about tournament rules. We want to go before that. How did you pick up the game of poker? Where like, what's the story of Matt Savage getting into just poker in general? I've read a little bit on the TDA website, but I wanted to hear it directly from the boss's mouth.
Well, standard story, playing in, games at Christmas time with the family. But, for me, it was going into the local card room We had some in San Jose, California, where I was born and raised, and playing and just getting in there when they first got Hold'em. And they, originally when I started playing, it was just low ball that we were playing, and watching and picking it up and not being a very good player. That's why I ended up going on to the industry side, because I didn't have the patience that I see a lot of these professional players. And that's why I have so much respect for the people that have made a career at it in profession. And, for me, it was always about, making those rules and making, being on the other side and seeing all kinds of different things that were not consistent. And that's kind of how I started the TDA, is because everything was so inconsistent from casino to casino and card room to card room.
Yeah, which is hard to the game really can't grow unless you have a definitive rules committee, right? Like a set of rules that everybody is using. Otherwise, it gets pretty weird. I know you're a big golfer, so I'm going to move into golf here eventually. But golf is the same way. Like when they first started, however many hundreds of years ago, there wasn't a group of people say, hey, these are all of the rules that we're going to follow at every single golf course. This is the way it is. And it's even funny when you mentioned it about very specific rules. Like the rules of golf in general are pretty short, right? Like there's not a ton of them, 36 or something like that, whatever it is. But then you get into like the decisions on the rules of golf, where it's like, okay, if you're, this happens and then a bird comes by and goes over here and the flag falls down. It's like all of those instances where they can't go over all of it. And I remember in high school, before you had your phone to be able to look things up, the book of the decisions on the rules of golf was this massive book where it was like a 30-something page little pamphlet you'd get from the USGA to start, which I always found incredibly funny. So I'm waiting for when the TDA comes out with the decisions on the rules of poker, which would probably be the size of like Super System doubled.
Absolutely. It would be incredible. I'm glad nobody's tried it, or that I haven't tried it either.
Yeah, well,
it would just be too incredible. But it's not a bad idea. If I'd have started it 20 years ago, it would be pretty thick. But I'm not ready to start it right now.
No,
that's for sure.
No. So playing with friends and stuff, and then you started working in the industry, and then at some point got tired of the fact that everybody's not in the same realm of poker, or the rules are so all over the place. Fast forward till today. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing today with the WPT and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm the executive tour director of the World Poker Tour, and basically my role is, touching all parts of what we do on the WPT. I just did commentary a couple of days ago at Thunder Valley, but traveling to our spots, working with our tour management team, and basically becoming friends and partners with our casino partners. And it's one of those things that I really enjoy. I've made so many friends through the industry, by doing that, and kind of becoming the liaison between the players and the casino and the World Poker Tour. And, like I said, touching every single part of what we do with the World Poker Tour. And I like to think that we're the player-friendly tour, and that we do a lot of things better than others do. And I, really appreciate when it comes out and people show up for these events and, really enjoy the process, even though they may not have cashed, or they, may have won the tournament, that it was run correctly, and that people, had a good time doing it, and that it's not only about the poker, but it's about being at the venue and doing different things and seeing, people from all over the world come and, join into these events that we do on the World Poker Tour. That's a big part of what I want to see happen, and growing the game around the world is super important to me. And that's something that I've always thought it was a big part of, putting the world in the World Poker Tour.
Wow. No, that's awesome. I mean, and I remember watching the World Poker Tour back, during the first boom. I like to think we're in a second poker boom, but the first one, when everything was online, you could watch poker all over the place. Like in my mind, when I think of like poker on TV, I think of the WPT. That's like the first thing that pops into my mind. I remember watching that the most. We watched it all the time. I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah. Mike Sexton, Vince Van Patten, big part of that. I always like to give them a shout out.
Awesome.
Those two guys have, missing Mike Sexton every day, and
Yeah.
still working with Vince Van Patten. Guys are legends for sure.
Yeah, which is well, I mean, let's be honest, Matt, you're getting to the legendary status yourself, so you're going to have to start thinking of those things as like peers, not so much as like other legends. We'll call them other legends, which is kind of neat.
I like the respect, of throwing it out there. Because just, to have that kind of longevity in the game isn't easy. As you all know,
longevity in anything, come and go. Right? Like in anything, like it doesn't even matter. Like just in the workplace, right? I mean, it's not commonplace anymore, which is it's a testament to how amazing those guys and you are. I mean, yeah, it's pretty awesome, and I love the fact that you think of the events, and I call them events. I'm kind of in the event world in general. We do lots of charity poker stuff, but I also do a lot of corporate events. Now, a lot of them start or have based around poker. That's kind of our in, but then we end up doing other like team building things, and I love being able to teach people that don't play poker and explain the rules to them and try to do it in a fun way where it's not, there's ways to go about the rules where it's kind of fun and exciting and you're teaching people versus like you're the rules police and I'm waiting for you to mess up so I can jump in there and give you the poker equivalent of a speeding ticket, which I never want to do. But I love the idea that you think of them as, the events as a whole and players, enjoying their time at a WPT event versus just going, well, I cashed or I didn't cash or I did this or I didn't do that or my aces got beat. Because most poker players, 90% of us go to an event and don't we get knocked out, right? Like we don't get anything from it. But I love the idea that you think of it more of a player satisfaction, that they're there for an event and they're there to enjoy the casino and all of the things that they have, as well as, playing in a poker tournament to boost.
Yeah, and those are the best ones when people send you a message after, hey, I didn't do well in the tournament, but thank you for running such a great event and great festival, and I'll be back because even though they did poorly, they're still engaged and had a good time when they were there. That's important.
That's awesome. I think, and that's how you grow the game the easiest or the fastest or the most reputable way to do so, is that people have to enjoy playing, right? Because poker, most of us aren't very well. It's funny when you mention about being a below average poker player. I am a below average poker player. I enjoy playing, but I don't ever expect to do anything. And my patience level is like the attention span of like an ADHD, high school kid. I got nothing. I can't sit through history or government class. Like, it's just never going to happen. It's an hour long. I got 14 minutes maybe that I can get through before the mind drifts. Poker tournaments the same way. I don't do a lot of Hold'em tournaments anymore. I've always been attracted to the cash side because it's fast and it's furious and it's easier to go big or go home, which I like. But it never fails. I'll play for like 6 or 7 hours and then my brain just shuts off and then I'm out and I'm like, why did I do that? What happened there?
Well, absolutely. It's so fun to go deep in a tournament. There's, no greater joy than making a final table or winning a tournament, in my opinion. And that's one of the things that, people crave and look for when they're playing these events, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the money's nice too, but yeah, I like absolutely. A good trophy. I don't have very many trophies. Can I ask you how old you are?
I am 56 years old. So yes.
Well, in a not weird way, you look good for 56. I will say that. I would have guessed a little bit younger. I'm at 45. So, we're in the age of before social media, right? Like, so I think it's super fun to be able to play in a poker tournament, and I don't bring headphones. I don't bring a book. I try to stay off of my phone, although it happens. I fall into a rabbit hole of TikTok or Instagram, and then the next thing I know, I'm out of the tournament. And I'm like, oh, that's my phone's fault. I didn't have anything to do with that. But I love being able to be at a poker tournament and being able to just kind of see the other players. Like, just people watching in a poker tournament is amazing because you get so many different walks of life, in a tournament. And this is on a scale of me experiencing things here in Chicago at a small charity poker venue versus what you're doing has got to be even astronomically higher.
Yeah, there's some definitely some great people watching opportunities at all of these poker tournaments. But in addition, I have the unenviable task of hearing from people, talking about being on the phones and trying to get all these things removed from the game, electronics removed from the game. And I always started off by saying, when I'm playing poker, I'm one of the worst in the world of being on my phone because, like I said, I can't go off my phone for an hour without getting, 100 notifications. So it's really annoying when I come back online to do that. But I do say that if we did have phones removed from the tournament, I think it would be a better experience for most people because, there would be the interaction, there would be the table talk, there would be those things that, poker may be missing as of late because of all the electronics and all the data and stuff that we take in through all this stuff. But it's a tough place to be in where you want people to stay off their phones, yet you yourself are on your phone when you're playing poker more than anybody.
I'm a terrible offender of that myself, but it's probably why I never really enjoyed online poker when it was huge, in the early mid 2000s. It was lonely. Like I didn't enjoy the game being on my computer at my apartment by myself at 2:00 in the morning. Like it wasn't fun for me. I like the idea of being, in that social kind of, construct where everybody's around, they're talking, get different people and people arguing and fighting over stuff. And, that's part of the fun for me, putting on a little bit of a show, enjoying it, hearing different stories about this, that, and whatever. Like for me, that's the more fun part of the game. I mean, I want to play well and I want to do well in every tournament and things that I play in, but I just enjoy the atmosphere in general is just wild.
Yeah, poker is best played live, in my opinion. There's no doubt about it. That's the way it should be played. And I just, I agree with you. It's tough for me to sit and play online poker. And I love playing, when I do, because usually I'm streaming when I'm doing it. So
nice.
I do have that interaction that way. But at the same time, I do think that, poker's best played live.
Agreed. 100% agree with you on that one. Let's talk about your other hobbies. So obviously poker, and then you said your family. Your third favorite thing to do besides poker and spend time with the fam is what?
Golf. Absolutely.
I love golf. Can I ask your handicap? I asked your age. Now I'm going to ask your handicap.
My index just updated this morning. I believe I am 13 even.
Okay. Lucky 13.
Yes.
What's the lowest you've ever been?
I was single digit for like 3 weeks of my life. So
hey,
I touched single digits and that's about it.
You got in there. That's all that matters. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
You did just win a golf tournament. What was it?
Yeah, I won the match play at my club, which is Southern Highlands here in Las Vegas.
That's awesome.
And my partner and I won it. And it is supposed to be done over like a 6-month period, and it took almost a full year to complete it. But we had a good time getting the scheduling in, and we waxed everybody we played, which was very fun.
That's awesome. Where poker live is the most fun way to play poker, which I know most people play live, but like just in general, like being in the room playing in a tournament is one of the most amazing things to do. I think for golf, match play to me is the best way to play golf. It is so much more fun. The game is a little bit different. It's more of a one-on-one competition, which you rarely get in golf because it's an individual sport. Kind of like poker, you're by yourself. You've got nobody else to really, talk to or go over things with. It's just you and that's it. But I love match play. I find it to be one of the most exciting ways to play golf, and it's not played very often anymore. Kind of like some mixed games, although mixed games seem to be coming back. So
yeah, I won't play golf unless I have a match. To be honest,
yeah,
and I understand. There are people that can go out there and play, by themselves and be one with a course. But for me, it's all about the competition. It doesn't hurt. Whether you win or lose, it's about the competition for me, and that's what I love playing golf.
Do you gamble while you play golf or no?
I've been known to gamble.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Not too big.
I'm sure the USGA is not listening, so it'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm not at the high levels at all, but I actually feel like you have to have a little something on the game, or else it's not.
It's more fun, and again,
serious. Yeah,
just like poker, you can be playing micro stakes and you can play massive stakes. It's whatever you are comfortable with and what people are enjoying while they do it. I hate when it gets to the point where you're losing friends, and I always make sure we get close to that age or that kind of spot where it's like, I want it to hurt a little bit if we lose or if you lose, but I don't want it to be hurtful where like we're never going to talk again. So I feel like poker in that sense should be along the same lines. Like if you're playing with friends, it should be fun. You should be excited about a win. You should be upset about a loss, but it shouldn't be to the point where like I'm no longer talking to Billy anymore because he beat me in this hand, and now it's a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things that the membership is based on the fact of who likes to play gamble and who likes to gamble, who likes to play for nothing, and it's one of those things that's it's nice. It's nice to know that you have a group of friends that won't get upset and will head right back to the golf course with you the very next day.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is that the highest golfing accomplishment that you've had so far?
Yeah, I'd say it's one of them. I run my annual golf tournament. It's this year's coming up is my 30th year.
Oh, wow.
So in May, we're going to Pinehurst for that.
Oh.
And I have never won a single day of any of the 30 years. So it's kind of a joke. But the bottom line is, when you are running an event like that.
Yeah, it's hard to be the winner too.
This year's 68 people. It's been as high as 100 and goes from 80 to 100. But because this year's a little more expensive, I lowered the number. But it's it's tough when you're focused on so many different things and people are complaining that their roast beef dinner was dry the night before, right. And you're dealing with all of that stuff. It's tough to play good golf.
Well, it's sometimes hard to be the organizer of a poker tournament or golf tournament, whatever the case may be, right? Because then you always get the negative too. Like my favorite thing at an event is when somebody comes up to thank me to say, I had a wonderful time. You did a really good show. I appreciate it. We'll be back. Because so often than not, we don't take the time to thank people for having a good time. We only remind them of when we had that 1 out of 100 bad time. And I feel like that's mostly what I get is the negative. And I so appreciate when people give you the compliments and I had a really great time and nothing bad happened,
Yeah, we get that all the time and on social all the time. When you have somebody say something nice about the event you just run, it gets 1 like or 2 likes. But if there's an issue or a controversy like happened recently that I've commented on social media, you get hundreds and thousands of views. Correct. And then you get all the likes and the big controversy comes up. But those things in poker, it's funny, but they always blow over.
Yeah.
The worst thing ever happened in poker, and 2 weeks later, people are talking about
forget about it. Something new comes up, right? Yeah. Again, we have short attention spans, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now that we know your best golfing accomplishment, poker as a player, what would you say is your best win or your most favorite, thing?
I love playing in charity events, and I've won one. I'm on the board of this charity series of poker. I've won one of those, which won a seat to the main event at the World Series. I've made a final table at the World Series. I prefer to play mixed games, believe it or not. Limit poker is more fun for me. There's a wide group, a group of players that play those things that are. A lot of them are friends of mine, and I enjoy setting up those mixed game tournaments as well and providing something different because, in the end, I think that poker is more than just no limit hold'em. It's more than, just that game. So I enjoy that, and I enjoy trying to spread that. But playing in mixed tournaments is always my thing. I do have some results on the Hendon Mob that I've put up, but actually just playing in these events is a joy for me, and making that WSOP final table was also a lot of fun.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. What event was that in? Like what kind of event was
Stud 8 or better.
Oh, nice. So you are a mixed games guy.
Yeah.
I love mixed games. I find them to be, I don't know, they're so much different than no limit hold'em. I get bored quickly with the 2-card games. I like having more cards. I like playing stud, and I love Omaha. Although it is a cruel mistress. I mean, if poker is a cruel mistress, good Lord, PLO is like the craziest of mistresses that you could have. It's Absolutely. Such a wild game. But I think most of the time when I play in tournaments, I'm always looking for the mixed game stuff. And I will say that a lot of the tours now are doing more mixed games. I mean, it's kind of got a resurgence of players having interest in it, and it's nice to be able to play. Although some rules things do come up more often in mixed games, which I find is a little bit harder to find the rules on at times. But it's like anything. the more people play, the more you get into it. And people are always afraid to play different games. We always do something every summer where we have like a series and we do a lot of mixed games, and people always enjoy it. Like, do more mixed games. I'm like, I would, but you get 100 and something people to play a deep stack tournament. You get 30 to play in the a horse tournament, which is always a rough one. But I find that I remember the horse tournaments so much more than I do the no limit stuff.
Yeah, and that's when you're trying to expand the game and grow it, and you have people that you work with and partner casinos that say, yeah, you want to run these mixed games, you want to do more of that, but you're getting 3, 4, 5 times as big a field in no limit. So for us, it's no limit. That's what you got to run.
For sure. But we like the mixed games too. Mixed games are
absolutely
fun. So is your favorite mixed game stud or?
No, I actually prefer Omaha 8 or better and Stud 8 or better. Those are probably my 2 favorite, but my favorite mix would be at a triple draw. So I've done tournaments, at the Commerce. I used to run the LA Poker Classic, and we would do 64 mixed games 34 mixed games and 34 no limit tournaments.
Oh, nice.
And my favorite tournament was the TOE, T-O-E, triple draw, Omaha 8 or better and Stud 8 or better.
Yeah, that's a good. I love all the acronyms that people give them too. It's a wild.
Yes.
It's a wild thing to go about. Liam did really well in a TOE event. I think it was Thunder Valley last year. Can't remember what he did. Liam's a player that's here from Chicago that has done well. So I've known Liam since he was like 18.
Oh wow!
Yeah, which is pretty cool. So it's nice to see people that. For us at Charity Poker here in Chicago, it's kind of a breeding ground. I always call it like the minor leagues, right? Like it's the farm system of poker in general, where people come out and play, and we try to do these lower stake buy-ins, and people are like, I'm not going to waste my time with a $20 early bird no limit tournament. I'm like, but the point is to get people that are nervous to play, and we want to get them into the game, and that's what's so much fun. In mixed games, same thing. It's like you can draw people in to play some new stuff, which I find to be, a great way to grow the game and get people excited about poker. And, we see it all on TV, and it's always no limit and these big tournaments, and most people don't ever play in those. So it's kind of fun to do some different things, and I really enjoy that.
Absolutely. And you don't have to drive into Gary or Hammond either.
Yeah. Well, now Illinois has got so many casinos, so we're all over the place. But, the casinos don't really do small buy-in tournaments, right? Like it's a waste of time for them. And I understand that. And it's probably a good thing because it's why we exist. So it's neat to see people that start playing in these $20 and $40 no limit tournaments for charity, and then end up going onto such bigger stages of poker, which is pretty awesome. So it's exciting for me to see. And I'm sure you've experienced the same thing. You see people start out and then they end up becoming super popular and doing quite well in the game. And that's just, it's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of great players have come out of Chicago and Illinois area. And, that's because of people like you putting on these events.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. See, occasionally we get the good compliments, which is nice. It's the nice thing.
You got to start somewhere. That's got to
start somewhere. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us and be on the show. I'm humbled that you said yes, and I know that your time's valuable and you've got a lot of stuff going on. So I do appreciate you taking the time to talk to us and tell you a little bit about your history in the game and how things got started. And the Pinehurst trip, is that like a charity thing that you do, or is it just like a group of guys that you've got going? Or
it started out being charity, then it turned into like a gamblers festival. Now it's just kind of like a mix between the two. We do a little bit of donating to charity from time to time, but we haven't had a specific charity that we attach to it every year. And a lot of guys would say that when they show up, they're making a donation already. So
for sure.
It's definitely a group of poker players, poker enthusiasts, and a lot of golfers and people from all over the country. We actually have a group of people that come from Chicago as well. We have them from Texas and Florida and Washington and California and of course Las Vegas. And because of that, it's just a group of people that I've met over the years and usually just enjoy golf, but a lot of those are poker players. players as well.
Well, I'm open to next time you have an opening in the tournament. I'm a huge Pinehurst fan. I've been twice. Have you been before?
Nice. I have. This would be my 8th trip there, but I've never done my tournament there. So it's expensive now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
They charge, but
2020 was great for many things.
Yes.
Well, and not really, but the one nice thing that I like to think of is that golf grew exponentially during COVID because it was outside. You didn't have to worry about being around people. It was a sport that everybody could get into. And I also find that golf is very similar to poker in the sense that you don't have to be very good to really enjoy the game, right? Like,
absolutely,
it's nice. There's so many bad poker players out there that just love playing, and golf is the same way. And it's nice that we don't have to worry about being good at something to really enjoy it. And I think that's where you start to enjoy the game the best, is when you're not concerned about results so much, about just enjoying the time playing. Because if you're not enjoying playing, then what's the point of doing it, you know?
Absolutely. And every golfer's gone through that period where, like, what am I doing out here? You know, when they become so frustrated.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that's when you actually become a little bit better, is when it becomes frustrating. I know so many great golfers that have actually given up the game because they became at such a high level that, you know, when they started playing bad, they just didn't enjoy it anymore, which is unfortunate. It really is. So
they come back though, right? They come back.
Yeah. Yeah, they do come back.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever gone forever.
No, hopefully not. Well, again, thank you so much for being on the show. We truly do appreciate it. Have fun on your golf trip. Enjoy, being the poker boss, which is pretty amazing to me. If you are not following Matt on X, we're only saying X from now on, it's at Savage Poker. Follow him. He's got a lot of great content. I enjoy it. I find that when I'm personally looking on Twitter, I don't follow, although most of my feed is a lot of poker stuff. But I enjoy the stuff that you put out, the content and the ability to be able to talk about rules and some tough areas. I noticed that you did one recently about smelly players, which was
yes, absolutely.
I thought the graphic was great. Little pig pen. Pig pen. My kids had no idea who the Peanuts were, so we had to watch some Peanut stuff, which was pretty cool. I try to get my
nice.
kids into some of the older cartoons and things of that nature, which they're all about Roblox and Fortnite, and I like that. I mean, we got to try some different things. But although I did show them Goonies recently, and they're obsessed with the movie Goonies right now, so it's pretty awesome for me.
I love it.
I'm like my parenting. I'm at a super high right now that I've got them into some of these older movies.
We can't lose the last generation. I mean, I just listened to a podcast a couple of days ago where all the young influencers had no idea, you know, who were the legends of the game were and stuff like that. And it was interesting, and just proved to me that I was old. That's all.
We're only as old as we feel. But yes, when I mentioned something about Stu Unger, and the kid was like, huh? What?
Exactly.
I did play in a golf tournament once, and they're like, oh, you hit it pretty far for an old guy. And I was kind of pissed about that. And then he said, well, how old are you? And I'm like, oh, I'm 40. This is a couple years ago. I'm like, oh, I'm in my 40s. He's like, man, you were born in the 1900s? And I about lost my shit right there. I was like,
nice.
From now on, you walk on that side of the fairway. I walk on this side. He was born in like 03, and I'm like, oh, God. I'm like, Jesus. But it's good. It's fun to, play. That's why I like poker. That's why I like golf, because you get such a wide range of people, young to old. And I love playing with the old veterans and talking about the days when we used to only play limit poker. In Illinois, when I started playing at 21, you couldn't play no limit. There were no limit. There were no limit games. All the casinos, they only played 5-10 limit. And those were such fun days to play, because it's such a different game, which is probably why I like the mixed games so much. But limit's a different beast. It's just fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, cool. Thank you, Matt, so much for being on the show, and I hope to see you at an event soon, and I'll introduce myself, and then you'll hopefully recognize my voice, and we'll go from there. But again, thank you so much for being on, and we're appreciative of all that you do for the game of poker. Keep doing you.
Thank you, Ken. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. We will talk to you guys
care.
next time. Thanks for listening to the show. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter, or X, whatever the heck it's called now. And thanks very much.